Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of New Music Den. I'm your host, Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a good day and that you're looking after yourselves and one another. I want to welcome you all to a segment titled, Is This Prog? Now, there's an album I've had in my collection uh, since about 1999, and I was reading up on it a couple of days ago, and I've listened to the album again on YouTube quite a few times. And I really didn't realize how polarizing this album is. People either love this album or they hated it upon release. Usually the hate came from critics, so take from that what you will. The band is Yes, and the album is Talk. And before I get into the information on Talk, I'll give you a bit of background as to how this album came about. In 1992, Yes were on tour for their album Union, which was released in 1991 through Arista Records. Now, I remember Union being really pushed uh, because of the fact that it was the first album to feature all eight members of Yes at one time on a project. And Arista really pushed this hard in terms of a campaign for it. But if you talk to some of the members, most notably Rick Wakeman and Bill Bruford, Union was anything but a unifying experience. Number one, the band were not all together in the studio at one time recording, and the musical ideas that they came up with were pretty much, according to Bill Bruford, fragmented and really didn't gel together. So at the end of the tour for Union, a gentleman by the name of Phil Carson approached Trevor Rabin to record new music for a possible new Yes album for his own label, Victory Music. Phil Carson previously was an executive at Atlantic Records. Victory was distributed through London Records. There was one condition. He wanted the 90125 lineup of Yes. So on this album for Talk, you had uh, John Anderson on vocals, Trevor Rabin on guitars, keyboards, and arrangements and programming, uh, Chris Squire on bass and backing vocals, Tony Kaye on Hammond organ, and Alan White on drums. That left out Bill Bruford, Rick Wakeman, and Steve Howe. Steve Howe did not like the idea that the 90125 lineup was approached to record an album, and he and the other two were left out. Rick Wakeman at one point was asked early on to join the Talk project. However, the one condition was that he had to leave his previous manager, which he refused to do, so he bought out of the project. So that left Trevor Rabin and the rest of the band to come up with music for a new album. Um, According to Trevor Rabin, he wanted to include John Anderson in on the project from the very beginning. One of John Anderson's criticisms of 90125 and its follow-up, Big Generator, was that he was left out of the lyric writing process until the very end. He was brought in basically just to sing the lyrics, and he felt that he really couldn't relate to some of the lyrics that were written for 90125 and Big Generator. But for this project, that would eventually become Talk, Trevor Rabin thought the best way to go about doing this project was to include John Anderson from the ground up. And they each found this experience to be quite rewarding, sorry, and enjoyable. Upon release, Talk reached number 33 in the US, number 20 in the UK, and number 47 in Canada. It has a playing time of 54 minutes and 31 seconds. The one condition of this project before they started recording was that Trevor Rabin, who had taken the producing duties, wanted to record the album on computer. So he wanted to fully digitally record it. So the album was recorded using four Apple Macintosh computers. Now, the band did support him on this idea. However, they didn't realize it was going to take such a long time due to the software that was available. It created limitations on how much they could do in a short time. So the album took longer, I should say, to record than what they expected. The original release that was released on Victory Music in 1994 contained 9 songs. The last three, 7 through 9, were basically a 15-minute, 45-second suite called Endless Dream. Endless Dream was separated into 3 sections: Silent Spring, which was an instrumental, Talk, and the title Endless Dream on the final. On the Spitfire 2002 reissue, which I have, Endless Dream is combined into one track. So you have 7 tracks on the Spitfire reissue, including an 8th bonus track of The Calling as the final track, which, if you listen to it, according to to my ears, it sounds no different than the original track, which leads off the album. So, getting into the album, um, the album starts off with the track "The Calling," which is the one of the 2 singles on the album. The other single being "Walls." The album overall is a rock album. I mean, heavy drums. First of all, we'll get into the tracks. The Calling is a rock track, heavy drums, fantastic guitar work from Trevor Rabin, uh, fantastic harmony vocals from John Anderson. The overall theme of this album, in terms of lyrical content, for me is unity and acceptance. Uh, So there aren't really they're not breaking any new ground in terms of lyrical content. The Calling, in terms of a track, it's a very heavy track, heavy drums, heavy guitar, a lot of a lot of harmony vocals from Trevor Rabin, John Anderson, and Chris Squire. The next track, I Am Waiting, basically is a beautiful ballad, a lot of beautiful, gentle guitar work, and beautiful lyrics written by Rabin and Anderson. But it does feature some heavy sections as well, some heavy guitar from Rabin on this. I gotta say, in the mix, Rabin's work on it, whether it be keyboard or guitar, is prominent in the mix. Um, After I Am Waiting is another track co-written with Anderson and Squire by Rabin called Real Love. This, according to Tony Kaye, is one of the more heavier tracks on the album. Very heavy on the Moog synth and synth bass, very brooding, very almost menacing. And the lyrics for this track were inspired by a book that Trevor Rabin was reading called A Brief History in Time by British physicist Stephen Hawking. Um, Heavy song. In terms of progressive rock, this could be considered one of the more progressive type of rock tracks on the album early on. Next up is another track called State of Play, which features screeching guitars at the beginning by Rabin, which was inspired by him listening to an ambulance siren that was driving by him one day when he was in the car, I would imagine on the way to the studio. And it is a heavier track, but there's also elements of hip hop on this track. There's a midsection where there is a hip hop kind of an arrangement on it. It's fine. It's a fantastic track. The next track is called Walls, and it's the one track co-written with Rabin, Anderson, and Roger Hodgson of Supertramp fame. Roger Hodgson, at one point, when I was reading up on this album, was asked to join Yes as lead vocalist when Anderson left at the end of the Big Generator tour, and he declined the offer. Walls, being the second single from the album, I think they were trying to go for more of AOR angle with this track. Very melodic, very beautiful lyrics. Um, and he's basically telling Rabin is basically telling his girlfriend or his wife, will you be there with me at the end of whatever it is I'm going through, whatever journey I am on? Will you either come with me and then and experience the journey, or will you be there for me at the end of the journey when I'm done? Which is fine. Beautiful melodic track, not heavy at all. Next up is Where Will You Be, which is a Rabin Anderson uh, co-write. Fantastic melodic, beautifully executed uh, with the musicianship on the album. Um, there's a lot of percussion on the track. Sounds like bongo drums that are used as the bedrock of the track, and just very melodic, very wistful in terms of the arrangement. And it is stated by Rabin that this song, according to Rabin, is one of Anderson's best written lyrics ever for the album or anything that he's ever written. It is a beautiful track. And um, it basically asks the question, will you be there whenever I need you? Either friend or as a partner or just an ear to bend, just amazing. The final track, which is the Endless Dream Suite, clocks in at 15 minutes, 45 seconds. And this track is considered to be the most prog-oriented track on the album. Starts off with the instrumental Silent Spring, which starts off um, with a piano intro done by Trevor Rabin. Just an amazing, frenetic, really fast-paced piano intro. Um, the music for this album, some of the music that was used for this album was written by Rabin for other projects, but he repurposed them for this project. And with Silent Spring, it goes into a 5/4 arrangement on drums by Alan White. Just really heavy-handed drums, but very rhythmic, just frantic paced, very frenetic, just like all over the place. But it works. Just an amazing piece of energetic music. Then it segues into the middle section, which, if you separate it into segments, it clocks in at 11 minutes and change, called Talk. Um, just an amazing multi-layered section featuring fantastic keyboard work from Kay and Rabin, and also features what I would call a Moog uh, uh, section of the track where it pans from left to right on the stereo channel. Just amazing, amazing. And the overall feel of the track, lyric-wise, is about, again, listening to one another. You know, have we lost the plot in terms of being able to listen to one another, in terms of whether it's like personal matters or political matters? Is it too late for us? Okay. And then it ends with Endless Dream. Okay. And at the end of the track, there's a reprise of the melody from Where Will You Be? So it all sort of unifies itself at the very end. It all sort of ties itself together at the very end. And that's the end of the album. Again, the Spitfire uh, reissue that came out in 2002, which is what I have, has an additional track of The Calling as a bonus track, collects in 8 minutes plus. And there really doesn't sound that much of it. There really isn't that much of a difference, sorry, in terms of the music, in terms of the arrangement from the original track that starts the album. Now, uh, to answer the question, is this prog? I would say, I would, I would say yes and no. I would say that yes, did not start out to do a typical prog Yes album of the 70s. Um, you know, it is heavy, it is melodic, it is brooding, it does have multi sections, it is layered and textured. Um, the most prog-like track is Endless Dream. If not for the epic length that it is at 15 minutes and 45 seconds, it does have various sections to it that would typically label it as a prog album or prog track. Is it a prog track or a prog album? Sorry, um, in terms of what they did with Close to the Edge and Going for the One and Tales of Topographic Oceans? No. Did they try and do something different than what they did in the 70s? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I mean, I've never understood the idea why certain fans or critics expect a band to stay within the same sphere of music and experiences that they had or did 20 years ago when this album was released in 1994. Okay. A band's natural inclination or want is to move on and do something different. Okay. And hopefully the fans will come along with them. Okay. Personally, for me, this is an album of the 90s. Does it sound dated by today's standards? Does it sound stuck like it's stuck in a certain time frame? I would have to say yes, due to uh, the production, and that is my one critique. The drums sound the same in terms of in terms of uh, just the drum sounds, the snare sounds. They all sound the same. There is not one drum sound that is unique, apart from the bongo percussion that is on Where Will You Be? And I don't know if that was done on purpose or if that was the limitations that they were presented with using the Macintosh computers. I don't know. But the drums do sound alike in terms of the sound structures on the album and soundscapes. Is that a bad thing? No. If that's what you want and that's what you like, then that's fine. Um, for me, it does sound a bit dated, but it's not a bad album by any stretch of the imagination. Is this an album, a prog album, of that's that should be compared to what they did in the 70s? No. Did they want to do an album from the 70s in 1994? No. John Anderson has gone on to say that uh, Endless Dream is uh, on par with songs like Close to the Edge and Awaken from Going for the One. Do I agree with him? Um, the jury's still out for me on that one. But he can say that because, he wrote the music for it. He helped write the music for it and the lyrical content. Do I agree with one critic who shall remain nameless, whose only critique of the album was two words, shut up? No. Um, constructive criticism is fine if it's done in a constructive way. For someone to say to a band two words being shut up, no, you shut up. If you think that who probably doesn't have any musical inclination or doesn't even know the difference between 4/4 time signature and a 2/4 time signature or a 5/4 time signature, if you think you have the right to say anything like that to an artist in print, you don't. If you think you can do better than someone like Trevor Rabin or someone like Chris Squire, then you do it. Otherwise, you shut up and you let the artists continue doing what they do best, which is create music. Okay? Enough. Now, for those of you out there who do know of the album, please put in the comments down below what you think of Talk. Um, good or bad or indifferent. Let me know what you think of the album. And let's get a dialogue going. Okay. Again, is this album supposed to be Yes from the 1970s? No, no, I don't think so. If you want to hear Yes from the 1970s, go listen to Close to the Edge. Go listen to Relayer. You know, now again, is this prog? I would have to say no, not overall. There is one track that is prog oriented, which is Endless Dream. Um, I I don't think that the album overall can be considered a prog album, but that's my opinion. Please, by all means, put your opinion down there, down below, and let me know what you think. So that's it for now. Please look after yourselves and one another, and I will see you soon with another video. Bye for now.